Hello everybody, it is Thunder here, and welcome to the answers portion of my Q&A special. As some of you may remember, a couple of weeks ago I put out a video to announce that I would be making another Q&A special, my first in roughly 3 years, as a way to celebrate the channel hitting 5,000 subscribers. In the announcement, I laid out a simple criteria of 3 questions per person with a 2-week deadline, and the vast majority of questions received on the likes of YouTube, Twitter, and Discord have all made it in. Thank you to everyone for the questions, and I hope to answer them to the best of my ability. The questions are sorted by the user who submitted them from A to Z, which hopefully will make things easy to navigate. Outside of this introduction, there is no script, so it may sound somewhat rough from here. And I've just put some footage of gameplay videos I've taken from various racing games just so you have something to watch. With that, let's get the questions started. So first up, we have questions here from Afternoon7. He's asked 3 questions here. First one is, are you a sports fan? And my answer to that one is, well, kind of. There's really only one sport I really tend to follow, and that's hockey. NHL, basically that sort of thing. And even then, I mostly just follow 3 teams: Toronto Maple Leafs, Calgary Flames, Detroit Red Wings. Somewhat local, and also just ones I kind of really grew up seeing a lot of when I was younger, and all that sort of stuff. It's hard to be a fan of some of those teams sometimes, especially the Leafs, but I still enjoy watching them and enjoying when they play good and all that sort of stuff, and hopefully things will turn around for each team eventually, because it's been pretty hard, especially this past season when the Flames were the top seed in the Western Conference and then lost in the first round of the playoffs. Ooh, that still stings. Other than that, the only thing really is just local team stuff, for sort of like the Toronto Blue Jays for the baseball and Toronto Raptors for the NBA. Go Raptors, finally in the NBA Finals. I'm looking forward to that. And then NFL, really just Green Bay Packers. I don't really follow sports too much. Hockey is really the only exception, somewhat. So that's my answer to that one, hopefully. His second question is, favorite live stream moment? Well, I've had a lot of pretty interesting live stream moments since I had gotten into doing it. Now, you might already know, it's been a while since I've last done a stream. It's been about 2 months, actually. I really should get back to doing it now that I technically can. But there's been like a whole lot of stuff that I have done over the time of doing all my Twitch streams and whatnot, and there's been a lot of really good stuff in there. There was a moment way back in 2016 for Need for Speed Carbon that I've archived on my channel. I think it's still called the greatest live stream moment that I've ever done, from 2016. It's still hilarious, so I still keep it up there. It's very funny to me. There was the Great Shitstorm of 1694 from one of my old Jackbox Party Pack streams. Well, that one I think specifically was Drawful 2, which is a standalone, but it still technically counts, I guess. There was the semi spitting out of control and the drifting in Carbon. There was the Jesus is Holy PP from Mr. Arrow HD and another one of my Jackbox Party Packs. There was the Yinling the Erotic Terrorist story from my Burnout 3 live stream, because that was very hilarious, and there's just a lot of really good stuff that I've done over the time of me doing a lot of my streams. And I guess really for me, I'm just really a big fan of that stuff, like the Shitstorm of 1694, the Holy PP, and that old ass Carbon clip. Those are still some of my favorite live stream moments for sure. And the last question he asks is, who is the best shit poster you've come across? I don't think anyone's going to top me, you know? In all seriousness, I never really thought of who is the best shit poster. I don't even really consider a need to know who the best shit poster is, especially because it really just depends. There's a lot of different kinds of shit posting humors that people have for what they do online and whatnot. But other than that, I don't really have a best shit poster. I just have people I like as friends who tend to shit post. I don't really have any other way of answering that, I'm afraid. So, thank you, though, for the question. Next question here comes from AJ Lethal. He's actually got 2 questions. The first of which is, of all the highlight reel clips, which is your favorite? And for me, there's a lot of fantastic clips that have been submitted in the 18 episodes I have done so far of highlight reel. Currently working on episode 19. But it's this last clip from episode 10 that I still think takes the cake.
What if bad?
I'll kill you, Rob Van Dam. Oh god, this is gonna be stupid. Wait, who fell? Oh yeah, me. Oh my god, look at you.
Look at him! What have you done to me?
That's it. That's it.
And his second question here is, which game would you like to LP again, given the chance? Honestly, I want to just LP most of them over again. Stuff like Gran Turismo and Gran Turismo 2, I think, are fine. They don't need to be re-LP, because I think I did a fairly reasonable enough job on those, so those probably won't have to be touched again. A lot of my earlier stuff is the stuff that I would really like to re-LP, especially stuff like Demolition Racer No Exit, because I really want to record that in higher quality, as well as redo both the first two Tokyo Extreme Racers, again for that same reason. Because, you know, composite quality sucks. Grand Theft Auto 3 is another one that I want to come back to and doing, because I want to do a not cheating playthrough, because I think that would do much better if I did it without any cheats. Blur is another one that I want to re-LP, because Blur kind of didn't come out very well recordings-wise, so I want to do another playthrough of that where it's a lot nicer to watch and stuff as a result. Apart from that, there's not really a whole lot that I feel like I would really want to redo apart from what I had just mentioned. Maybe Driver. Driver is one that I wouldn't mind re-LPing, because I want to get the PC version working and play through that one instead. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else. I think that's pretty much it in terms of things I would like to redo. So yeah, not a whole lot. Sorry. Thanks again anyways for the question. So I got another 3 questions here. These come from Alfred Nader. His first question is, what's your favorite European countries? I don't know, honestly. I've never really thought, and I think most of the reason just has to be because I've never ventured outside of Canada. See, the kind of thing with me is, I feel like in a lot of ways, to enjoy another country, you kind of have to go there in person, because otherwise you can just look at all the things you see online about it, but it doesn't paint the whole picture. So for me, because I've never really been to a European country, I don't really have an answer for that. European countries I would like to visit, though, I mean, you know, the UK, the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Germany, Belgium, and Spain, and all those kind of places, really. Apart from that, I don't really have any other way to answer this, so it might seem a bit like a cop-out, but that's really the best I'm going to be able to do with that. Thankfully, though, I can answer his second question rather well. What's your favorite tracks from Forza Motorsport? Well, my personal favorite has always been Sunset Peninsula. You might remember that as being the kind of like the little raceway thing that's kind of in a lot of ways like Indianapolis, where it's like based off of it being an actual speedway, and then it has like a section that goes in that's all like tracks, like road course space and whatnot. That's always been a favorite of mine throughout the series, and is another one that I really enjoy going to get back to a lot of the time. Maple Valley Raceway, it's another huge favorite of mine. It's basically a favorite to a lot of people, and rightfully so. It's very, very well done. I guess, to be fair, maybe this is a little bit harder, because a lot of the tracks, especially these days, are all real tracks in the Forza series. It's not as many fictional tracks, to say the least, because most of them are, you know, all the licensed stuff, and that doesn't really count. I also do like another raceway park kind of thing, Sedona. That's another one I can remember off the top of my head. I know a lot of people might want me to say Fujimi Kaido, because that's a really popular track. I don't mind them. I don't mind it, sorry, but it's not really one I particularly care for. None of the fictional tracks at Forza Motorsport 7 really got any sort of my interest. I do like Tokyo Circuit from the first Forza. That's one I do actually quite remember liking and wishing it would come back. A lot of some of those really early Forza Motorsport tracks from the first game. Rio de Janeiro is another one. It's weird that they've never come back in any form of capacity, or if they have, they're not the same track as before. That's pretty much what I could think of off the top of my head, at least, when it comes to Forza Motorsport tracks. So, and his last question is, are you going to Let's Play Ratchet & Clank in the future? And the answer to this is actually a rather interesting one. I'm not sure how many people know this, I don't think many, but truth is, I was actually originally supposed to start the channel off with a Ratchet & Clank LP in 2014, not 2015, 2014. It was going to be a Let's Play of the original Ratchet & Clank on the, I believe it's from the HD collection that was released on PlayStation 3. And it was going to be me. It was also going to include Weirdo on commentary, and it was going to include my old friend Lone Wolf or John on commentary. If you're wondering who that is, it's the guy who was with me for the Need for Speed High Stakes LP I did very early on. And we were going to play through that. I was going to be the guy, you know, playing, obviously. We were talking about how we all had shared interest and passion for the game. and whatnot. But what ended up happening was just that we only ever got about 3 parts in, and we never got more done because we could never find the time to all get together and do it. So the LP ended up being scrapped as a result because months were going by and nothing was happening. So what ended up being the case was just that we scrapped it, and I just decided to go venture forward with a solo Let's Play, and I chose Demolition Racer No Exit first because I wanted to do that because I really like that game and it doesn't get a lot of credit that I feel it deserves. But I am still very interested in doing a Ratchet & Clank LP in the future, mostly because I want to play through pretty much almost the whole series, really. Definitely something I would like to do in the future, but I guess it just all depends on whether or not I ever get around to doing it. It's just hard because, that's one of those games where I feel like I would work better if I have someone with me to do it. And in the situation I'm in right now at the time of recording this video, that's not exactly the easiest thing I can do. But we'll just have to see what happens, I guess. I definitely want to Let's Play a Ratchet & Clank game. I just unfortunately cannot say when. So I'll just have to give the trademark answer of soon. Thank you. Next questions come here from Auto Racing Playlist. His first of 3 says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you expect to suffer in Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012? Honestly, about maybe a 6 at the most times a 5. I don't know if you're trying to ask this as if you think I don't like the game, because I actually do enjoy playing Most Wanted 2012. It's far from perfect. It does feel like a Burnout Paradise rehash, unfortunately, and the handling physics are admittedly kind of janky, not gonna lie, but I don't hate playing the game. It's just something that I can kind of go back to regularly and just, do for various stuff. In fact, one of the recordings that you're gonna see during this, all the gameplay footage is taken from Most Wanted 2012, but yeah, really, I should be about a 5 or 6 at the most, I suspect. Especially because the thing with that game is I already have an idea of exactly how I'm going to segment it, so it should be fairly simple to do, really. I don't think it should be too hard to try and Let's Play or stream or any sort of thing like that. All I'm going to say is just wait and see. Second question here says, favorite World Rally Championship car, or WRC car? I suspect this is probably going to turn people away, admittedly, but it's the Subaru Impreza. I cannot tell a lie. I got into it thanks to Colin McRae. Colin McRae is my idol when it comes to WRC. I will never be as good as he ever was, and, I have definitely missed out on a lot of rally stuff over the years, but for me, seeing that Impreza in the first Colin McRae rally was just, it was something special. It was a really interesting time, too, for WRC. You had all these really interesting drivers like McRae, Tommy Mäkinen, Carlos Sainz, Richard Burns, all those sort of guys that really defined the 90s and whatnot. And it was just something I really miss about that time because it's just such a unique period for WRC. And this Impreza WRC, just to me, is just one of the coolest looking cars with that iconic blue with this originally the 555 on it, then it became the Subaru logos with like the stars and whatnot. I think around the time McRae left the team and Richard Burns joined the team. It's just such a cool looking car, and it's just definitely something that I think is the car that I still look to in terms of whatnot. And his final question here says, you planning on playing Sega Rally? Yes. Thank you for asking. So the next question comes here from, I don't exactly know who this person is. They're in my server. They don't properly share their name. So sadly, I have to go with a meme name here. And at the time I saved the question, the name, display name, and picture was Big Smoke. So I'm just going to call them Big Smoke because what else can I use? And his question simply is, Test Drive Unlimited or Test Drive Unlimited 2? Test Drive Unlimited 1. Why the first game over the second? Because I know a lot of people have asked me that during my video about Test Drive Unlimited Platinum. The first game to me, I think, is just, it holds a lot more weight to me, I feel. It came out at a time when a free roaming game like that, with all the sorts of cars and the progression and all that sort of stuff, really wasn't done that much before, so it felt a lot more special. The second game, to me, the problem with it was, of course, it was just trying to expand on that, make it better, but they didn't exactly make it better. Sure, there was another city, sure, there were more vehicles, sure, the graphics were prettier, and sure, there was more to do in the game. but the handling physics were awful. They were really bad. The voiceovers for these characters that they had, they were never really that great in the first game. But in the second game, when you ever have to hear that stuff like, this could be the turning point of the championship, I despise that. It just felt like there was a lot of unpolishedness that went into the game. That's not really a word, but it definitely felt rough around the edges. There were tons of bugs and glitches and stuff. The game was really difficult to play online at the time as a result because of all the bugs, and it just felt like for the lots of things that it added, it just removed a lot of the heart and soul of the original game. As much as I can appreciate what Test Drive Unlimited 2 did, my heart is forever with the first Test Drive Unlimited, just because I think it's a better game and just did so much more. For me, it's going to be Test Drive Unlimited. Thanks for your question. So the next questions here come from Briso Sour. I hope I said your name correctly. First question is, icebreaker question. Are you a good boy? I hope I'm a good boy. Please someone tell me I'm a good boy. I mean, please, that would be great. Also, what's an icebreaker question? Is that what the sun spotlight is now? Are we just calling it icebreaker questions? Or is this a reference to something that I do not get? I'm not sure. But still, I hope I am a good boy. Please, someone tell me I'm a good boy. Second question is, what made you want to start Let's Playing and what keeps you going? I've been wanting to do Let's Plays for years. I've actually wanted to be doing Let's Playing, and admittedly should have if my hardware was good enough. As far back as I think 2010, I would have been 15 years old at the time. I wanted to make LPs as far back as then because there was something that always caught my interest, even as far back as then, and I did a very long time ago. The video is long since gone, and it's very unlikely it's ever going to resurface. I'd be pretty scared if it did resurface, actually. I did one single part of a Donkey Kong Country 2 Let's Play. And why specifically that game, I think that'll be answered in one of my later questions here. And I wanted to do that, and I'm not kidding. The way the microphone that I had at the time is the stupidest thing ever. I had one of those PlayStation Eye cameras for the PS3, and I would use it because back then with the buddies I had on PlayStation 3, we would always go into like the video chat, and we would just like share the things we were doing, and in a lot of cases, including myself, we would just switch the input on our television to just play something like on our PlayStation 2s or our original Xbox or whatnot, or stuff like that. At least I did. So the way I had used that as a microphone is on the back of it, I believe. The back, or I can't even remember if it's the front. I think it was the back, is like all these like little series of microphones built into it, and I would just put the PlayStation Eye in the front of like my shirt, like, you know, the little bit like where your neck is, like the top of the shirt. I would just put it in like the bit that hangs. I would use that as a microphone and recorded my first LP part with it. It didn't sound as bad as the idea sounds. But yeah, like, I was really unprepared to do it, and I didn't sound very interesting at all. Like, I know I come off being pretty boring, but that was something else. And basically, it was just, there was a reason I took it down very early on, and it's very unlikely it'll ever appear again. If it does, then I'll be very frightened, but hey, I'm not completely against it. It's just an interesting part of history, I guess. As for what keeps me going, I mean, it's no secret that I've been struggling for a while, but that's, I think, more to just do with the general ideas of what I want to make for videos and stuff, and I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that I'm a lazy bastard who multitasks all the time, gets distracted, and doesn't really want to make things, and that's not the way I should be living, but that's kind of how I am, and I really hate that, and it's just, I guess one of the things that keeps me going is the fact that I do hate that, and every now and then in the back of my head, I keep saying to myself, right, I have to make something. I have to at least keep something going for the people who tune into my channel and enjoy the stuff I do. I shouldn't be having them wait months and months and months for content. That's just not fair for them. So for me, it's just, that's sort of the thing. Will that change if I'm out on my own in my own apartment? Maybe. I'm not entirely sure right now, but I would definitely say there is no end for me right now. I just want to keep making videos when I have the drive to do so. And I think that's the big thing, is when I have the drive to make videos, I will make videos. And Let's Plays are fun to me, especially if they come out pretty well, like some of my Let's Plays have. Gran Turismo. But, you know, that's kind of how it is with that, I would say. It's a bit of a weird one answering that, but I guess that's how I would describe it. And his final question is, what's your decision process behind games that you either LP or live stream? It's really just if I feel like I want to play the game and I want to show it to people, and if I think it would be interesting enough. It's kind of a combination of both, although the former tends to outweigh the latter, because my interest in games and the car games that I do are, a bit weird. Let's put it that way. But I like to make videos of it because I like to show my interest in it. Because I think that makes for an interesting videos and stuff is if you have interest in doing it, you should do it. I mean, there's all other things that could hurt the video's quality, but I'm not going to really dive into that. But yeah, that's pretty much my decision process. If I think it'll make an interesting Let's Play or an interesting live stream, that's how I do it. But yeah, thank you for your questions. So, next question here comes from Cameron's Music and Gaming Land, and his question is, what cars do you think should be added to Forza Horizon 4? And really, for me, I guess, in terms of thinking about what cars that should be added, I would say more British cars. Try to get more of that British thing going with the game because it's where it's taking place. Like, there's a lot of things I would love to see, like specifically because of the fact that I'm really into those cars, I would love to see some more TVRs. Like, if it be like a standard kind of Cerbera, we get the old Griffith, you can get stuff like, what was that car called? I think it was the Typhon. Really, in like British cars to me, like I know everyone wants to say they want to see Toyota finally be out of the game, which will likely never happen. They want to see this, they want to see that. I really just want to see more of these classic machines in, like Triumph Herald, maybe. I don't know why that one came to mind. Get some old school Jaguars, like an old XJ or something. Get maybe even some Rovers. As ridiculous as Rovers are to a lot of people, if I would totally drive an SD1. Totally. We even get the original kind of AC Ace, which became the Shelby Cobra. If we had one of those original style ones, that would be amazing, because it would fit great. What about the Jensen Interceptor? What about that? That's a British car. That car was almost supposed to be in Horizon 3. Like, it was seen in, like, the leaked build that came out. How come we haven't seen that in Horizon 4? That's a perfect car for that game. I'm surprised we don't get that. And then, even some newer cars, too, is fine. Just, like, the ones that haven't already been in the game and stuff. It's hard for me to really kind of pinpoint exactly what else should be added. Because, really, everyone's pretty much already answered a good portion of them. Like, other than that, for me, it's like anything that was in any other Forza game, with the obvious exception of Toyota, anything that was in those games, put them in Horizon 4. Just love to see, like, help bolster the roster a bit. Hell, even if it was something as obscure as, you remember that Marco's TSO GT2 thing or something that was on, like, an episode of Top Gear? That was, like, a huge, like, flash in the pants. Hell, even if we got, like, that flash in the pants Noble, the M15. Or you get something super obscure like a Bristol. I'm really starting to show too much of my nerdism, I think. But yeah, I honestly don't really have much else of an answer, really. Just apart from just more British cars. I think it really should pay homage to where the game's located, and they really should take advantage of that. I mean, they kind of been doing it a little bit from here and there, but I think there's a lot of still untapped cars that I think could be great fits if they put them into the game. So it's just really was a bit of a mess of an answer, but I tried. Anyways, thank you for your question. Next question here comes from Captain Turbo. He says, "Mr. Thunder, why is there semen in my porridge?" That's not supposed to be semen. I don't know what you put in it. I thought it was supposed to be milk. I don't know what jug thing you borrowed. It's supposed to be milk. What did you do? What did you do? Who did you give that porridge to? Like, who jerked into it? It wasn't me. I have nothing to do with this, I swear. Next three set of questions come from Carl Raven, 91. He says, first question, have you heard of the Lamborghini Asterion, Egoista, and Estoque? I believe I have. The Asterion was supposed to be kind of like Lamborghini's foray into that hypercar thing that was happening, like the Holy Trinity, if you remember that, like the McLaren P1, LaFerrari, Porsche 918 Spider. The Lamborghini Asterion, I believe, was supposed to be that. It was going to have like 900 horsepower, it's going to have like hybrid technology, all that sort of stuff. Never ended up happening. The Egoista, of course I would remember that because it was just added into the Crew 2, surprisingly. Like, I don't know why, but they added it into the Crew 2. for some reason. It's a very strange concept car. It's basically a Gallardo with a extremely strange body. And the Estoque was supposed to be a 4-door Lamborghini, but the Estoque never happened, so so much for that, I guess. Although, I guess, to be fair, like, the Estoque likely wouldn't have even worked very well anyways in this current market, because everyone's trying to go all crossover. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of crossovers, but I think people got to accept that a lot of people are moving over to crossovers and stuff. So as a result, a 4-door, like, luxury car like that is not really going to attract a lot of people. For a lot of people, crossovers work because it's the size of them. It's just easy, like, it's easy to get in and out. You have the perfect driving height, so you see quite well over the road. And they're trying to make them more like regular cars and stuff. I think people just are never going to really enjoy them because of the kind of vehicle they are. But the truth is, that's what people are buying. That's what the regular car market is buying. So it would be crazy for other companies and whatnot to not cash in on that. And that's exactly what Lamborghini did. Because look at the Urus. But that's kind of really just a situation of things, really. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not even my cup of tea, really, but there's a reason why they're doing it, so the Stoke would have never worked, sadly. Second question, what do you think of the W Motors Fenner Super Sport? I don't think of it at all, really. Mostly because the Fenner has not really been in anything for me to care about, I think. What I will say about the Fenner is it looks quite a bit nicer than the Lycan. Hopefully it's better than the Lycan. I mean, the Lycan is one of my few kind of like crazy, hyper, super fast cars that I don't like. So, never been a fan of the Lycan just because that car kind of always irked me the wrong way with just the kind of the concept of how that car is. It's like overly expensive, these kind of gimmicks that they put into it. It just seems like a facade, really, just like a car that's there and it doesn't click for me personally. I don't know if the Fenner is exactly like that too, but his final question is, do you like Apollo automobile cars, namely the Apollo IE and Apollo N? I love the Apollo IE. It's weird because that's kind of got that same kind of, I guess, in some ways, W Motors thing going for it, but I admit I might have a bit of bias because I was a huge fan of the original Gumpert Apollo. That was a car that everyone was they had their opinions about, but to me, it's like, it was just a radical-looking supercar that just felt very track-derived and was just so out there and different from the rest of the field, and I love that kind of thing. And the Apollo IE is basically the production variant of what was originally the Apollo Aero, I would say, because they share a lot of similar design traits and whatnot. And the IE, it sounds amazing. It's one of the best sounding cars out there now. It looks visually striking, like the dark purple and gold wheels. For that to be the first paint job everyone sees of it, that's striking. That's going against the fray and just trying something different. But it looks intense. It's right in the name. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm really looking forward to that. It's actually in Horizon 4. As for the Apollo N, it's just a Gumpert Apollo. It's just with like a white paint scheme with like a black top and whatnot, and for whatever reason the back of the car looks a bit square for some reason. Like, that one is a bit more difficult to explain, but it's like, it feels like it's less defined on the end than it was on the original car. I don't know. It looks a bit off to me for some reason. And is that thing even gonna happen? Because Roland Gumpert's not associated with Apollo anymore, so who knows? So very car-centric questions. Thank you for those. Next three set of questions comes here from Chris250505. First question he has here is, what has been your favorite LP to make so far? I've answered this many times in the past, and it still remains to be my Gran Turismo 1 LP. It was just a lot of fun, just being able to blast around in one of my favorite childhood games, just with a bunch of people and having a good time where we weren't taking things too seriously, in most cases. Just driving cars and just making fools of ourselves, and a lot of it just turned out very well. I mean, the LP could have been even better if some of those original parts did not get lost, but even despite that, it was still a very strong LP. Very, very good, and it's one that I always look back on very fondly for various reasons. And for me, still, it's the top one there. For me, I don't think anything's beat it yet, and that's actually kind of embarrassing because that was back in 2015. It's gonna be 4 years. Maybe one day I'll finally have that one that eclipses it. Anyways, second question: do you have any role models you look up to for videos and streams? I don't particularly have role models because I generally just tend to find people's videos and like them and I just watch them. I mean, but if I was to be really honest, I mean, Rhino GT4 was one of the main reasons I got into Let's Playing the kind of stuff that I do, just because, you know, I'm a car guy like he is and wanted to do the kind of thing he does. But just in my own sort of style. Streams wise, there's a whole bunch of people. I mean, I love Kuro HS, as I forever idolized the fact that he's got so popular with just speedrunning Need for Speed games. It's insane. And then guys like Mr. Arrow HD just being fucking hilarious to watch and very wholesome, genuine guy. I like the people who are genuine and honest about themselves and not trying to put on something just for show. They're just, you know, themselves. And Arrow is very much epitomizes that, I feel, in a lot of ways. And, you know, there's just a whole lot of other things and other people. I could go on and on about, but when it comes to videos, Rhino GT4, when it comes to streams, Mr. Arrow HD, those are the two names that really click to mind the most, personally. And last question is, what was the inspiration behind Highlight Reel and Challenge? Highlight Reel, really, the inspiration behind that is just because I like watching gaming compilations and clips and stuff, and I wanted to try to get a lot of those clips put into stuff because I want the people who make them, to get at least a little bit more notice. And there's a lot of really funny stuff I see out there that no one really shows or covers or anything. And I wanted to kind of have a very kind of simple layout design with mine. I just wanted the clips to really be doing the talking with an occasional gag here and there. But we got someone who goes to clips and narrates over them, and we got someone who puts all these clips of car games together and adds all these funny sound effects and all these other silly things and whatnot. I just wanted to kind of be the straightforward, simple approach to it, where it's the clips that do the talking, because I feel the clips, they hold the most importance. They're the things that people watch to find, like, to get their, like, most genuine reactions. I think focusing on that is the best thing to do, and for me, that's kind of a lot of the reason why I wanted to do it, just because, you know, I wanted to just give that sort of platform. And it's small, but that's because my channel is still small, but maybe eventually things will change around, and who knows where it'll go from here. As for challenge, well, I just kind of liked the idea of people challenging me, just giving me things to try and do in games. Of course, I'm bad at actually doing the videos and episodes and stuff. I should get back to doing that, but really it's just, you know, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I just wanted to kind of broaden the kind of stuff I do on my channel, and that was one of them. So that was pretty much the reason for that. But that should hopefully explain all of that. Thank you for the questions. Next three set of questions are from Kulo Man. His questions are, first, will you ever play the Grand Tour game at some point? Well, if I ever get my hands on the Grand Tour game, I'll play it. Second question, what do you prefer, Euro, Japanese, or American cars? I don't really have a preference for any of them, because I feel like there are many great European cars and many bad European cars. There are many great Japanese cars. There are many bad Japanese cars. There are many great American cars. There are many bad American cars. I don't particularly have a preference because they all try to approach something different for those kind of things. And to me, I'm a bit all over the board. I like my muscle. I like my sports cars. I like my luxury. I like my exotics. I like my hyper cars. I like all the things in between. It doesn't really matter to me what the car is. If I get a good feeling of driving a car in a game, even if it's like a Land Rover Discovery or something, or an Austin Allegro, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's all just about the experience I get from driving the car. So for me, it doesn't really matter if it's Euro, doesn't matter if it's Japanese, doesn't matter if it's American. If I like it, I like it. So no major preparation. And the last question here is, what is your least favorite music genre? I have never been a fan of rap music or hip-hop music, much at all, really. I don't completely despise it, but I find the vast majority of the kind of stuff you hear on the radio stations and whatnot, and all the kind of like weird compilations where everyone's all like obsessed with it, I just don't understand it. It all sounds the same to me. The beats are all too similar. The rapping's all the same kind of stuff about sex, drugs, money, booze, violence, guns, rims on my car, shoes, all the kind of stuff. It doesn't appeal to me. I prefer music that kind of has like a more of a meaning to it, more of a like an aggression, more of a drive for it. Metal, that's why metal music has always been my favorite. Metal's where my heart lies the most. Yeah, 3 questions, but they got through these ones a bit fairly quickly. Again, apologize. I am trying my best to answer these, but thank you though for your questions. Next 3 set of questions comes from Daniel Philpott. His first question is, what's your favorite album? My all-time favorite still is Demanufacture by Fear Factory. From track to track, basically the closest thing I've ever listened to a perfect album. There's a lot of really good shit on that. Second favorite after that would be City by Strappy Young Lad. Second question is the worst game you have ever played. I don't have an answer for this because there's a lot of really bad games I've played, but none that I've really stopped to think about what I would legitimately consider to be the worst. I mean, Big Rigs Over the Road Racing is fucking terrible, but that's just because it's an incomplete, hilariously broken game. So it's just the worst because, you know, it's not really a proper game. There's stuff like Hong Kong 97, which should have never existed. Bubsy 3D, which is just a joke. Yeah, it's an early 3D platformer, I get it, but it looks like there was no effort put into that thing whatsoever. It plays like ass, it's not fun to play at all. There's Superman 64, which is like a joke of a Superman game in pretty much every aspect, especially where that part where you fly through the rings all the fucking time. There's a lot of, like, really bad games. I've played all of those games, and they all suck. But I don't particularly know what I would say out of those four that I mentioned would be the absolute worst. I would guess, because the thing is, Big Rigs and Hong Kong 97, they're not really games. But Superman 64 is a game, and that sucks. There's just a lot of really bad games out there, and I would say just, I guess out of the four that comes to my head, I would say Bubsy 3D is the worst of those four in my personal opinion. But I don't really have a genuine proper answer for this. Last question is, are you going to LP Import Tuna Challenge in the future? Yes. Thank you for your questions. Got two questions here from Dee Dorset. First question is, do you like chocolate pancakes? They're alright. Second question he has here is, what is your favorite Group 3 car in Gran Turismo Sport? I don't know for sure. I've not done a whole lot of Group 3 racing in this game now I think about it. I do like the way the Porsche drives though, and the McLaren 650S is a bit of a handful, but I like that too. Wow, I should have thought this down a little bit more before actually doing the question, but the Porsche and the McLaren I both tend to like. The BMW M6 is also another good one. That's another one I can remember off the top of my head. Those are the three I think I regularly drive that are like Group 3 vehicles, the ones that I tend to like the most. And at some point I'm going to have to just play through the game and really just get a proper drive of all of the Group 3 vehicles, and then maybe I can come back and answer this. But for now, that's my answer, is like the Porsche, the McLaren, the BMW, one of those three. Sorry, it did suck, my answer, but thank you anyways for your questions. We got another three set of questions here, this time from Denny. First question he has here is, a time you've raged at a video game. I've raged at quite a few video games before, not that I'm particularly proud of doing so. If I were to think of a few off the top of my head, there would have been the time I was trying to finish up Midtown Menace 3. Some of those last events were just really brutal and just really got me quite furious. Some people who are with me in Discord chats would know this for sure. The ending to Midnight Club 2 and one of the races in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, those are ones where I definitely got a little bit heated. And you know, it's not something I really am proud of. I don't like getting all ragey or very angry at video games. It's not really the kind of thing I want to be doing to myself, so you know. That should hopefully, though, answer your question. Second question is, funniest moment of your career since starting YouTube? Since starting YouTube, well, there's a lot of funny moments, but I couldn't really pinpoint one down. There's a whole lot of different things that's happened, but I would still say go back and watch, and I mentioned this earlier, the live stream highlight for Carbons on the channel. It says the greatest live stream moment I've ever done. That's just basically just people cracking and just having a huge laughing fit for about half an hour. It's great. I would definitely go back and watch that. And the last question here is, big projects that you would like to tackle as future Let's Plays. I don't know, honestly. I would like to get some more of my stuff going. I would like to do some of the Need for Speed games I had been doing on stream as proper Let's Plays. I wouldn't mind doing that at some point. I want to get stuff like Gran Turismo 3 going pretty soon sometime as well. But right now, it's really just a case of uncertainty with exactly what I want to do with it. But we'll see. We'll see where this all leads to. Thanks for your questions. Next three set of questions here comes from Dezuroku. His first question is, are you excited for Need for Speed 2019? No, not really. The last two Need for Speed games, 2015 Payback, massive disappointments. Really didn't like those games that much. I don't particularly have high hopes for the direction that Ghost Games is going to be going to. I would like to hope that they get their heads a bit in and they turn things around, because that would be nice to see, but I personally don't have much hopes, and as a result, I'm not very excited for Need for Speed 2019. I would love to be wrong, but I just don't see it happening, I'm afraid. Second question is, what driving games would you want to see become backwards compatible on Xbox One? That's kind of a difficult question because I don't own an Xbox One. So, you know, but really when it comes to backwards compatibility, why, like, anything, really. It's like the older Forza titles, the, you know, Burnouts and Ridge Racers and Import Tuner Challenge and just anything that was on the original Xbox and Xbox 360 that's a racing game. Like, get the old Project Gotham racing games backwards compatible. Those games deserve it, especially 2 and 4. Sega GT Online, please put that as a backwards compatible, because I think that would be really cool to see. I mean, again, even if it doesn't have online capabilities, just these kind of titles just deserve more love. And putting them as backwards compatible titles on the Xbox One might get more people to play them and give them a better notice. Who knows? I could be wrong. Alright, last question from Dezu here says, with the upcoming next generation of consoles, what will be your main platform? PlayStation 5, the next Xbox, the more powerful Nintendo Switch, Google Stadia, or PC? Probably a PC. Why? Because I've already got a very good machine built here. This PC that I'm currently using now, just it's kind of really where my direction of interest is kind of going because of a lot of the advancements in certain ways, especially with like PC technology and stuff. I'm already kind of a little bit annoyed that 3rd generation Ryzen processors coming out in July, and holy crap, the specs have gotten me excited, but no rush right now. PlayStation 5, really, I would only consider getting it if the group of friends I still have on the PS4 get it, but really, I'm not that interested, I guess. Although I will be interested if this whole rumor about the whole backwards compatibility turns out to be true, in which it's all the PlayStations that are backwards compatible, like 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the PS5. If they do that, I would buy it, because that would be awesome. But we'll see where that goes. Next Xbox. The only reason I would buy an Xbox One would be for the Forza titles I can't play on PC or the Xbox 360, and then some backwards compatibility stuff. Everything else I don't particularly care to get an Xbox One for. Nintendo Switch, I would like to get a Nintendo Switch anyways. Not that I would play too many games on it, but it would just be cool to have. Google Stadia? No, I don't want that. I don't trust Google. I don't trust it. But anyways, thank you for your questions. Next question comes here from Dimitar Gukov, who just says, what are the plans for the future? The plans for the future right now, I don't particularly have much of an idea, really. The plans for me, I think, right now, is to try to get a lot of the important stuff in my life focused on. Like, I need getting my own apartment and stuff out here and getting a job of some sorts, because as much as I enjoy doing all the videos and stuff and playing all the games for all you guys and whatnot, the truth is, it's not something I could depend on doing for my life. I need to have something to at least keep myself afloat. Having a job would be important to me. Just finding the drive to be able to do the things that I want to do with the channel and whatnot, just keeping myself in full concentration without getting too carried away with anything. That's all the kind of stuff that I want to do right now. And for me, it's like it's the things that I consider to be important. You know, I want to get an apartment that has a gym in it in the apartment block so I can try to lose some weight and whatnot. And all these things I want to do is like a lot of personal stuff. There's just a lot that I need to do, and it's just going to be slow, but it's the best thing I can be doing for myself because I need it for myself, for my future. But as for the channel, I guess the future channel plans, well, probably just get more stuff out. Try to actually getting challenge going. I said I was going to do that at the start of the year. Still haven't. Way to go, me. Highlight reel, getting that stuff going, and just those are the things I really want to do. And hopefully maybe I can find some other things I can do for the channel too to get more traffic in, and hopefully find the one thing that just, I can't really snap very well, just clicks and just brings in all the people, and so I can share all my interests with a bigger audience, because that's what I would love to do. Hopefully I find the thing that kind of helps kickstart everything for me, and hopefully I can figure out where I want to go personally with my life. That's just kind of the way I look at it, I suppose. But anyways, thank you for the question. 2 questions here from El Doritos. He says, first question, what is the origin of your username Bloody Thunder? The origin of the username Bloody Thunder really is a kind of a bit of a mess of things, because the truth is I don't even remember entirely. What I do at least know from memory is the fact that it was 2 forum aliases I used from probably now long since gone forums. I know they weren't very popular when I used them, so they're likely either very dead in the waters or just existing in nowhere anymore. Maybe if the Wayback Machine, but I don't remember what the forums were, so whoops. But I know on one of them, the names I had on one of them would have been Bloody something, and on the other one, it would have been Thunder something or something Thunder. I know the first one was definitely started with Bloody. The other one, I don't remember if it started or ended with it. And then when I decided to make my PSN name back in 2009, yes, it went back that far, or was it 2008? I can't even remember now. Shoot. I should have paid attention to when it said how long I was using that PSN when I changed it. I mean, all I did was capitalize the T, added the X, and had to put an underline there because it wouldn't let me have it without it, annoyingly. But with Bloody Thunder, I just saw those two forum aliases. I must have been using them at the time and thought, let's add them together as like a little subtle nod to myself. Plus, that was when puberty was starting, and, people tend to get a bit edgy during that time. So that's kind of where that name came from, and it stuck with me ever since because I never really thought of anything else, and I still like the way it sounds. It's kind of cool, especially because people could always keep asking me all the time, and I have to keep telling them, no, I did not get my name from the song Blood and Thunder by Mastodon. The second question is favorite non-racing game of 2019. Okay, now this is a bit interesting because I haven't really even been paying attention to all the games that have come out so far in 2019, mostly just because I've not really played anything that's a 2019 game, especially one that's not a racing game either. So, yeah, I really haven't played many modern games anymore, mostly because nothing really interests me that's very modern anymore. That's not like something I recognize from childhood or something that at least has some interest in, or is a racing game. I am a very picky person, and that's probably forever going to be my downfall. Oh well, thanks for the question. Next 3 questions comes from Franco Ifini. His first question is, what is your top 3 test drive games in your opinion? Well, I'm going to go from first to third. First, Test Drive Unlimited, because it's just such a nice, fun, open-world game. Just all the kinds of cars you could drive and just a vast open world. Even though it's very dated, it's still a lot of fun to just kind of cruise around in. And thanks to the Test Drive Unlimited Platinum mod, I've been playing that a lot recently and been having an excellent time. It's just a game that's I find really kind of easy to go back to, and it's a really cool game. Second would be Test Drive EV Destruction, the most underrated Demolition Derby game of all time. It's a hell of a lot of fun to play. And I know it didn't have a test drive name in Europe where they just called it Driven to Destruction, but I live in North America, and we called it Test Drive EV Destruction, so it counts. And then third favorite, I don't know, it's a toss-up between 5 and 6. 5, I kind of prefer the tracks, but 6 is a nicer game in driving in. It's very silly, true, but it's a bit more easy to pick up and play, I think, compared to the 5th game. And plus, I do like all the cars could just be painted any color of the rainbow, basically, which you couldn't do in 4 or 5. Well, 4, you couldn't even change the paint at all. 5, you could, but only 3 different other colors. But yeah, I would say a toss-up, but I guess I'm going to go with 6 as my third favorite. So 6... EV Destruction, Unlimited. That would be my top 3 test drive games. Second question is, if I could mention just rally games, how would you rank each one from best to worst? Now, the problem is, there's a lot of rally games out there, including rally games I've played. So I'm going to have to do a kind of a condensed, just the ones that really stand out for me. So the worst is the original V rallies. It feels really awkward to get into. It kind of feels stiff in areas, and it just feels like it's aged a lot in some cases. It's not really a lot of fun to go to back in hindsight. Also another V-Rally game, but the PC version of V-Rally 3, because that game is hilariously broken on the PC for some weird reason. If you plan on playing V-Rally 3, for the love of God, stick with the console versions. You'll have a much better experience. Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo was one I was not a huge fan of. I wouldn't say it's the worst one, obviously, but it's not really one I particularly like either. There's a very obscure PlayStation 1 game called Dakar 97, and it's not good. It's very, very not good. And then we kind of go to the middle of the spectrum. You have a good portion of some of the Colin McRae rally games. Like some of the dirt games are kind of further down here, like Showdown would be at the bottom, Dirt 2, and then you'd have like, I kind of like Dirt 3 a little more than Dirt 1. Still haven't played Dirt 4 yet. I do own it. I also have not played Dirt Rally. I do own it. I don't own Dirt Rally 2.0. I'll have to play it, but I know a lot of people really like that game, despite a few weird spots. Oh yeah, okay, I remember now. Another one that's kind of more in the bottom is Rally Cross for the PlayStation 1. I hate the way that game handles. I hate the camera view. I've tried it so many times to enjoy the game. I cannot enjoy it. And then going into the bit of the higher spectrum, like the really good ones, ones. You got 2, 3, 4. 2005 is still my favorite Colin McRae rally game, personally. There's Sega Rally 2, one of my favorite arcade rally games as well. It was like a food court-styled restaurant thing that was on its own, that had like an arcade center in it, and they had a Sega Rally 2 machines, and I'd play that quite a bit. Of course, the first one's a classic as well, but I would lean more towards liking the second one more. Really, when it comes to me, I guess the best rally game I've ever played. I know a lot of people who will swear by Richard Burns Rally. I can't do that because I'm sorry, I've never played it. For me, still the best rally game I've ever played is Rally Sport Challenge 2. That game is killer. It's very arcadey, but it's so much adrenaline in that game, and the tracks are cool. The car roster's pretty nice. It's a lot of fun to play. It's really easy to get into, and you don't even have to be that amazing rally driver. It's very forgiving, that second game. Not like the first game. The second one is very forgiving. It's just a very easy game to get into. It's a lot of fun to play. Awesome game. It's definitely my personal favorite so far. Last question here, though. Any thoughts about the many cars showcased in the Geneva Motor Show 2019, or at least just some of the most interesting ones? Now, see, one of my problems is I don't always particularly follow motor shows particularly all the time, and I think that's just more to do with the fact that I tend to hear about the cars naturally anyways. But, you know, you do have some things there. Like, there was those two, like, concept vehicles, one by Pininfarina, I think it's called the Battista, and that thing is like got insane amount of powers and it's gorgeous. There's also a concept Aston Martin, the Vanquish Vision, and that thing is beautiful too. It hadn't been properly shown at the time, but now of course we have the McLaren GT, the Grand Tour. That's another car that I think personally looks really nice. All the other stuff, they kind of were there. I wasn't really following them that much. Those were really the only three I remembered off the top of my head, and that was because I had heard about them prior, so sorry I couldn't go more into detail about this question, but thank you for your questions regardless. Next question comes from GT Effect, who simply asks, do you have a rough estimate on when you're going to stream again? Thank you. Another 3 set of questions here from HCR. His first question is, have you ever Tiger Bomb your balls? Second question, do you think that stancers are just a poor man's lowrider? No, I think stancers are just people who think that making their cars very low, but putting this awkward stance on their car so that the wheels are kind of like tilted or such, I think it's just stupid. I don't understand the appeal at all. I just don't understand why people think they need to do this to their car to make it look cool. It doesn't look cool. It just looks like your wheel's out of place. I don't get the appeal of having cars just like this wheel tilted and just slammed down to the ground where you have issues going over speed bumps and everything. It's like, why? Why do that to your car? It doesn't make sense to me why anyone would ever feel the need to put a stance on their car. It doesn't look cool. It really does not. I'm sorry. Anyways, the final question is, will you play Cartoon Network Racing? Is that actually a game? I didn't even hear of it. Personally, from what I've seen looking it up, this is a post-recording, by the way. If I had any interest in playing it, maybe, but it doesn't look like it would be very good. But who knows? Thank you for the questions. From Inferno the Fox, first question, do you question the sanity of anyone you've met through Discord, Twitch, YouTube, etc.? I question the sanity of most people I meet, mostly because I question my own sanity. I don't think there's really anyone who's sane at this point anymore. We're all insane in our own different ways. And if anything, I kind of prefer it that way because being normal and sane is boring. Sanity is not really a thing anymore. At least in my eyes. Anyways, second question here is, are there any games you're looking forward to throughout the rest of 2019? Well, Crash Team Racing Nitro Field is pretty much the one game I'm really looking forward to in 2019 because I fucking love the original Crash Team Racing, and Nitro Field looks like it's going to kick a lot of ass. It's going to give me my interest back, especially in playing that game all over again. That's definitely a game I'm looking forward to. Other than that, though, I don't really have that many other interests, just simply because I don't play that many modern games and stuff. If that GTR 3 game that they've been talking about for a while, if that comes out this year, that's definitely what I'd be looking forward to. But other than that, it's like not really that much else that I'm looking forward to, mostly just because I don't play a whole lot of newer stuff anymore. Really, I guess when it comes to me, I don't know. I can't really answer this one particularly very well just because well, I don't play a lot of games. Well, actually, okay, there is one kind of shooter, kind of role-playing style game that has a very interesting look to it that I wouldn't mind trying, and that's being Cyberpunk 2077. And then I guess the Master Chief Collection, when it comes out on Steam, would be another one. So let's get to your last question here is, can I take your order, please? Yeah, can I please have a number 7? Which would be a cheeseburger supreme with extra mustard and ketchup, no pickles or onions, and can I please also get a chocolate milkshake with that on the side? As for a side order, can I get some matzo sticks? Thank you. 3 questions here from Junior Fan. His first question is, what are your life goals? Any cars you want to own? Anyone you want to meet? Anywhere you want to go? The thing with me is I've never really considered what I want to be my life goals, mostly just because things in my mind change all the time. There might be something I have interest in doing at one point, and then later on it loses interest to me. I suppose, though, if I really were to have a life goal, it's being able to live stream as a regular job. Like, not having to rely on needing another job for income and stuff. Just being able to do that sort of thing where I can focus on that and focus that on as my main source of income and whatnot, because I don't think I've ever been very well at jobs. I'm not physically very fit. Mentally, I'm a fucking mess. And there's just a lot of things about me that sometimes I feel like I don't want to be doing much of my life working at like a grocery store or something. My life goal, I guess, is to be able to do something like that. Another life goal of mine would be able to be in an actual race, like a proper race in an actual car and whatnot. I'm probably going to have to lose a lot of weight first, and I'm going to have to get physically fit, and I'm just going to have to be able to get my foot out there a little better, but it is something I would still love to do. Even if it's just one race and I come last or something, just the feeling of being in an actual race would be awesome. Any cars I want to own, I don't think anyone should be surprised at this. I still want, my dream car is a Datsun 240Z. The original S30 has for a very long time been my all-time favorite car. I just love the kind of classic Japanese sports car that was just beautiful car for the time. I definitely would like to be able to own something like that, and I would like to just even have a nice a wagon, like a modern Volvo wagon, and then something like a nice sedan or something, just a simple, reliable sedan, just to be able to drive around in, or hell, even an SUV. I wouldn't mind driving an SUV if it's a good one. Nothing too crazy, I guess, for cars I want to own, and that's mostly just because the crazier the car you want to own, the more headache you're probably going to deal with it. The more it'll cost you to get the car, the more it'll cost you to insure it, the more it'll cost if you get in an accident, the more this and that. It's not worth it in a lot of cases. I would love to have stuff like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a McLaren. Well, maybe not too much Ferrari, but Lamborghini, McLaren, Porsche, all the really cool cars, Pagani, Koenigsegg. Those cost a fortune, and to maintain them costs a fortune, and that's not something I really want to be doing with my money all the time. Anyone I want to meet, guys, just some of the guys I talk to online, like Weirdo, Rhino, Arrow, Kuru, Killy Sunt, Zerodux Given, pretty much a good portion of the people who I regularly talk to in my server. As much as I would love to meet some of the really popular cast of guys, especially one of my biggest interests to meet would be Lazy Game Reviews, because Lazy Game Reviews, he's a fucking killer dude. Awesome guy. Love his content. As much as I would like to meet him, I have a thing for really wanting to meet just the guys I talk to regularly, because I get along with them very well, and it's the kind of thing where I want to be able to see them. So all those people that I regularly talk to are the ones I would like to be able to meet. And anywhere I want to go, not really more places, just in Canada, really. I just like staying in the country, really. I don't really want to have to go anywhere. Just other places in Canada would really be all that it is. Just places like Toronto, Calgary, Montreal, Vancouver, those sort of places. Other countries maybe, but really I just want to prefer to stay in Canada. Aside from streaming YouTube, what is your dream job? I don't particularly have a dream job right now. I suppose my dream job would just be working at the back of a video game store. Like being the guy who goes through all the games and makes sure they all work, and just, being able to relax and not having to be the one to worry about shit like sales quotas and trying to promote shit all the time. Just being able to be the guy who comes in and greets all the customers, gives them the game they want to buy. Any game that comes in, I could be the one to test it and stuff. I just want something simple for my life. Something that's simple, won't stress me out too much, but isn't as boring as working in a fucking grocery store for the rest of my life. Anyways, his last question is, if there was one thing in your life you would like to go back and change, what would it be? I guess honestly what it would be is just keep myself in better health. Like if I could go back and prevent myself from getting fat and prevent myself from kind of going far down the path of not really wanting to do so much and get out there in the world and not be so afraid and whatnot. If I was more able to do that like comfortably and whatnot, that would be something I would like to do. But anyways, thank you for your questions. From JVC 1103, his first question is, are you planning to play a Monster Truck game? Yes, I would like to play Monster Truck Madness 2 at some point, if I can get that working, because I remember playing that a long-ass time ago. I remember liking it. I remember it being quite a favorite for a lot of people, and I think it would make an interesting LP. Stuff like Monster Truck Madness 2 and some of the Monster Jam games. So that's probably what I'm going to be focusing on. What game made you lose it? I just realized in post that this question basically sounds exactly similar to when Denny asked the time I raged at a video game. So if you want a more definitive answer, go back to the video where I answered Denny's question about when I raged at a video game. Just general stuff that somewhat pisses me off. Like, it doesn't have to be anything super serious, like full-on rage. When I consider lose it, it's like, I don't want to play this anymore. All those kind of moments. Or when games don't work and stuff, I lose it a little bit. I don't go full-on rage all the time. I just get annoyed and just like, right, I'm not going to play this. Anyways, JVC's last question here is, what is a game you like outside of racing? Outside of racing, I like the Ratchet & Clank series, as already mentioned. I like the Donkey Kong Country series, 1 and 2 specifically. A lot of the Mario and Sonic games, separate. Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, those sort of games, they're all pretty cool to me. I don't mind some shooters, like GoldenEye, some of the Call of Duty titles, and those are some games I like that are outside of racing, though. Thank you for your questions. 2 questions here from Kevin Abil Gaming. I apologize if I did not say that correctly. First question he has here is, will you make a Juiced Let's Play if you like it? This may be a bit controversial, but my issue with the original Juiced is I don't particularly think that it would make a very good Let's Play for one reason. The game does not have a proper ending. To me, for a lot of LPs to work, you have to have a definitive starting point and a definitive ending point. And Juiced doesn't really have that. I mean, the goal, I guess, is to get all the respect from all the different people, but the game doesn't end, and that's my problem with it, is that it doesn't have a part where you reached a definitive point with the game. The game just pretty much just keeps going on and on and on. And for me, whilst that's not a completely terrible thing, I personally think if you're trying to do a Let's Play, you need to have a part of the game that definitively starts it, and a part of the game that tells you, right, this is the end point. And for me, I don't think Juiced has an end point, so I don't think you would make a great Let's Play. I mean, if people really want to see it, I'll consider it. I don't particularly know when I would be able to end it, because there is none. And last question here is, which is the hardest game to complete? At least in terms of the games that I've done. I mean, the Tokyo Extreme Racer game can be pretty fucking difficult if you're new to the game, especially if you're someone who's not particularly the best driver and whatnot, and you're getting to around the end of those last bosses and whatnot, and they just go insanely fast. Those games can be quite difficult. Midnight Club 2's end goal is very difficult. The original Burnout game is quite difficult. That one, you've got to really be on it and not fuck up that much. Stuff like that is like ones that really come to mind, I guess, because I'm trying to focus really on the games I've played on the channel. The Colin McRae Rally games are pretty difficult. Those ones, you have to really memorize the tracks and all the layouts and everything, so those ones can definitely be quite a challenge too. Oh, the original Ridge Racer, that game, you really got to memorize that one. The thing is, I can only really answer the games I played, and there's a lot of really hard games that are out there that I've never played, so I can't exactly answer those ones because I only can focus on the ones I played myself. But thank you for your questions. Oh boy, next 3 questions here are from Q96. First question, hi. Hello. Second question, can you help me spell Mississippi? I need help with the second dimension grammar test. C-A-N-A-D-A. There you go. That's how you spell Mississippi. Third question, you have all of 12 hours to prepare for the inevitable Armageddon of your current town, locale, whatever. In great detail, about a paragraph or 3, explain to us what you would do to prepare to survive. I mean, I would just drive out of the town. I would use those 12 hours to get the fuck out and never go back again. Because you just say town or locale. You never said the Armageddon was happening everywhere. You just said town or locale or whatever. So, you know, I can just drive out. You know? Problem solved. From Lonely Wolf, his first question is, what was the first video game you ever remember playing? Your own or friends, just whatever the first was. Honestly, I can't remember exactly what the first game I ever played was. At least the first one that got me into racing games I know for sure was Need for Speed 2 on the original PlayStation. Then Gran Turismo was the one that kind of really helped give me my passion for racing games. The first one I ever played was probably some Super Mario game, probably Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, because we did have a Super Nintendo way back in the day. We have like Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country 2. Too much of my really young childhood memory is pretty much a distant memory where I can't remember any of it. It's all like dust. I don't particularly remember any of it. Second question here is, if you could make your own video game, what would it be about? Well, for me, I would like to make like a spiritual successor sort of thing to a Tokyo Extreme Racer game. I kind of want to like expand on the idea where it doesn't just focus on like places like Tokyo, Nagoya, or Osaka. Hell, I don't even want it to focus only on Tokyo. I want it to kind of be like all the major freeways and stuff, like Germany's Autobahn and whatnot. I kind of want it to be like a more like worldwide thing where it's you got a whole lot of game, have like a ridiculous amount of rivals, but at least try to make them stand out a bit more. Have the Wanderers don't have any like stupid requirements. I'm looking at you, TXR3, and just have a greater depth of car rosters and customization. Kind of hark back to a lot of some of the games with heavy customization. Just that sort of thing is like the kind of game I would love to make. Have like online play and just sort of something like that. I would say, to be honest, would probably be what I would like to make. Which then perfectly goes into the last question here. You know, I had to ask it. New TXR Let's Play when? I guess whenever I feel like doing another TXR Let's Play. Like I said, I want to do proper Let's Plays, not like just stream playthroughs, proper Let's Plays of TXR 0 and 3. Drift 2 would be another one. I don't really want to do the first Drift because I don't particularly care for the first Drift game. And then Import Tuner Challenge, obviously, that's another one I would be doing. So just whenever I guess when I feel like wanting to do it, probably when I'm out on my own, when I have my own place is definitely when I'll start considering doing it again. So at least that's probably what my plan with that. Anyways, thank you for your questions. Okay, next question here comes from Lotus Enduro GT. Next 3 questions, in fact, sorry. First question here is, if you had to move to a country outside of North America, where would you go? UK. I would probably go to the UK. I don't particularly have any other sort of idea of where I would go. I would mostly just stick to an English-speaking country because that's the language I know best. So UK or even Australia. Because the thing is, like, if I went to a country that doesn't speak English, I'd have to learn the language, and I'd probably put me in a hole for a while. I guess that's just what I would consider as the UK or Australia. What's your top 3 favorite non-racing games is his next question. So top 3 non-racing games. Donkey Kong Country 2 is actually my all-time favorite video game. Yes, even outside of any racing game. And this is a game I remember playing a lot. It's the closest game to this day that I still have ever played that I consider to be a quote-unquote perfect game. Of course, I don't believe in perfect games. That's definitely the closest, though. Then would be Ratchet & Clank Going Commando. That's my favorite Ratchet & Clank. I put so many damn hours into it, and it's just, I love playing it all the time. Of course, I put so many hours into it, and I've still never tried getting all the skill points because that's mostly just a pain in the ass most of the time. And then the third, probably Super Mario World would be my third favorite. I know a lot of people who also say it's the closest thing to like a perfect game. I know Scott has that opinion. It's a classic game, holds up really well. I can go back to it pretty much any time and still enjoy it at any point. But that would be my favorite non-racing games, like my favorite 3. And last question is, what's your favorite Twitch clip or moment involving yourself? There was that time I was playing through Most Wanted 05 through the challenge series, and it gave me the CLK 500, and I just go, fuck! Off the top of my lungs almost. Like, this piece of shit. I don't actually hate the car that much, but I didn't want to have to drive it because I don't like driving that car that much. There was that time we were playing, I think it was TKO for the Jackbox Party Pack. I made both my shirts. I had one that was just a bunch of A, so it was like, all over the shirt, and the prompt answer was E. So I want to put E for it. And it ended up losing to a one that said Gran Turismo on it, and it said, I don't get this. And I felt like it won because of a bias thing, because, you know, Gran Turismo. I was like, the bias one. And then one of my other shirts won. The other one that just had A's on it, and it said, I think it said something like my son died or something. I thought that was hilarious. Just both of my shirts coming in like that with those kind of prompts and whatnot. So one time I was rated by Kuro HS. Never thought it would happen. Probably never will happen again. I don't care. It happened once. Then there was a time I died trying to get out of a boat in Driver 3. That was hilarious, because that wasn't supposed to happen like that at all. And then I guess the other thing is when I was in a Wheeze Fest during Driver 3. You would probably remember that, because you were there, Lotus. And then there was the time, I guess, in Grand Tour Racing 98 or something, like LRC's trying to talk to me about the course or something, that I immediately just fall off the track into a lava pit, and I do this weird flip that puts me underneath the bridge somehow. Then there was one from NASCAR Rumble where I just kept getting hit by everyone and just going all crazy when it happened. There's a lot of interesting moments that have happened, and I can see why people tune into my streams now. I really need to get back to doing that. I apologize. Sorry, guys. I'll hopefully have it done soon. Hopefully I'll get around to doing that and stop being lazy about it. Yeah. Anyways, thank you for your questions. We got a single question here from Monday Bear 21. His question is, have you ever watched anime? I have watched a little bit of anime, but I don't regularly watch anime because it don't interest me one bit. I've tried to get into it and just it doesn't work for me. I just think animes are a little too off the chains for me, and a lot of it I don't particularly understand most of the time. Just not my thing, really. So that's all I can really say about that, though. Thank you for your question. 3 set of questions here, this time from Nightfire37. His first question is, in the world of all waifu drive cars, Subaru or Mitsubishi? I would probably go Subaru, mostly because when it comes to Mitsubishi, there's only really 2 I care about, and that would be the Lancer Evolution, which is dead, and the GTO, which is dead. Subaru, I mean, they got the Impreza, the WRX STI, that's still around, and they have the Legacy, and that's still around. If I have to mention as well another one that I like that isn't around, the SVX. There's also the Outback, which is fairly interesting, and there's also the Forester, which is another one I wouldn't mind driving either too. So yeah, Subaru would be my answer to that. Second question is, are you going to get Halo Master Chief Collection when it comes out on PC? I mean, I guess considering I was talking about it earlier, yes. And last question here is Motorsport or Horizon? Now this is actually a pretty interesting one because the Motorsport game, Forza Motorsport 2 is my all-time favorite Forza game. But I tend to normally more lean towards Horizon for the ones I kind of like to go back to the most, because I'm kind of more of a free-form person. I kind of like exploring like open worlds and just kind of thrashing about with cars and whatnot. And as much as the Motorsport games, I can respect what they've done and whatnot, and all the hours I put into them, the Horizon games, I feel like they're kind of something I can go back to more regularly, just for a bit of fun, thrashing about in the open world and just kind of having some fun and creating all these crazy machines and whatnot. In terms of replay value, Horizon to me, I feel like I have more of it there. I know not everyone I know shares the same sentiment, but at least in the way that I see it, I would definitely say Horizon is probably where I would stand for that, is over the 2. But anyways, thank you for your questions. The next set of questions here, again, I don't particularly know this person's name. I'm just going by their display name at the time of snapping the picture, and that is Nissan R390 GT1. They say, first, what's your favorite racing game? My favorite racing games, Burnout 3 Takedown is my all-time favorite racing game. Then followed by Gran Turismo 2, with Gran Turismo 4 very close behind that. Then Tokyo Extreme Racer 3, Driver San Francisco, Need for Speed High Stakes, Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005, Forza Motorsport 2, Forza Horizon 4, and then if I were to round it up to 10, Burnout Revenge. I just like racing games, man. You know, Blur, Project Gotham Racing 4, those are 2 more that I just thought of. You see what I mean? Anyways. What's your favorite cars? Well, mentioned earlier, Datsun 240Z is my all-time favorite vehicle. In terms of supercars, I like the McLaren F1 is probably my all-time favorite hyper/super car. Then the Koenigsegg Agera RS, Lamborghini Murcielago, particularly, Porsche Carrera GT. In terms of some muscle cars, 1970 Chevelle SS, as well as the El Camino variant, Mustang GT Fastback, like the Bullet Mustang, the original Chevrolet Camaro. And if we're going more modern, I like the Corvette ZR1, the Ford GT, Japanese cars, Nissan Skyline GTR. As controversial it is, R34 is my favorite, Subaru Impreza 22B STI, Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 5. Those are just a handful of the cars that I like. I like a lot of cars. Lastly, what's your favorite tracks from Gran Turismo? Well, my all-time favorite Gran Turismo track is probably Trial Mountain. It's an old favorite of mine, one I could definitely go back to quite a lot. Deep Forest is another one, High Speed Ring, Red Rock Valley from Gran Turismo 2, Grand Valley Speedway, El Capitan from Gran Turismo 4. I also like Special Stage Route 11, both versions, as well as Route 5. And yeah, those are the ones that come to mind for Gran Turismo tracks. Anyways, thank you for your questions. From Redbeard Wrath, first, what is your favorite Need for Speed, and can you order them personally from best to worst? Well, my favorite Need for Speed, as I mentioned not too long ago, is High Stakes. And if I were to rank them from best to worst, High Stakes, Most Wanted 05, Hot Pursuit 2, Need for Speed 3, Hot Pursuit, Underground 2, Porsche Unleashed on the PC. This would go on for ages. I have to look at the entire list of Need for Speed games because there's plenty of them, but I will just say at the very end of the spectrum, you'd have Undercover, 2015, Payback. Those would be the bottom 3. Hot Pursuit 2010 would also be kind of high up there too. Most Wanted 2012 would be slap in the middle. If I were to mention every single Need for Speed, this would go on forever. So, the next question is, if you could start over with your channel, what would you have done differently? I probably would have just tried to differentiate some of my other stuff. Like, I wouldn't have ever used my old graphic style where it had stuff, where it mentioned stuff like gaming discussions, which I've not really done a whole lot of, and all the other logos, because I felt that was a mistake, because I've never really gotten around to doing any of those. But other things too, I guess I just would have tried to think of doing more things back then. Like some of the stuff I do now, I wish I had thought about them earlier on. That's really the only other things I would say, because apart from that, I'm not really sure what else I would start over with my channel. Last question here from him says, where would you like your channel to be in 5 years' time? In 5 years, I would like to see the channel at least hit 25,000 subscribers. That's probably a stretch, to be honest, but it would be really cool to see if like 2024, if I'm still doing this by then, I've gone from 5,000 to at least 25,000. That would be nice to see, because that would feel good for me. As much as I don't think it's gonna happen, because I get the feeling that I'm gonna reach a point where people, the vast majority of people, all just kind of get bored and just kind of like, you're like, you know what, we're gonna watch some other things now. But who knows, I could be completely wrong, and I could just be thinking negatively. Like I said, we'll see where this goes, so, and hopefully maybe my hopes for 25,000 by 5 years' time will actually happen. Only one way to find out, I suppose. But anyways, thank you for the questions. Got 3 questions here from RKD, only one of which appears to be serious. First question is, do you ever fart and it turns out to be American cheese? No, because I fart and it turns out to be Canadian cheese. See, Canadians don't fart American things. They only fart Canadian things. What the hell am I saying? Second question is, do you see Reynolds and Peugeots in Canadian land? Reynolds, yes, they were sold here a very long time ago, mostly during the 80s, because Reynolds had a partnership with AMC at the time, but the cars were not very common back then, and are certainly not common now. The most notable, I think, would have been the Le Car, which is basically a Renault 5, but yeah, you're not likely to see them here anytime soon. As for Peugeot, and I get a lot of crap for saying that name wrong, but Peugeot, whatever it is, it's a stupid name and I hate it. I do not recall them ever selling a Peugeot over here, at least from my knowledge. Last question is pee. I've already gone pee this morning. I don't need to pee right now. Thank you for your questions. Next question here comes from Skyfall456. His question is, will you be doing any more collab LPs like you did with Rhino GT4 for Test Drive Eve of Destruction? Yeah, I mean, I would like to do more collab LPs all the time. For the last while, it's just, I kind of really focused on doing stuff myself. Because don't get me wrong, I enjoy the idea of doing LPs with other people, but at the same time, like, I was doing it so much that I really wanted to focus on doing LPs on my own. But at the same time, when you have someone to talk to, I feel like at times when I'm not able to think of something right away, it helps when I'm just talking with other people and whatnot. So it's one of those things that I would like to do for sure more of in the future, just because, you know, I think people would definitely enjoy that. Anyways, thanks for your question. Next question here is from Stephen Phillips. His question is, can you please do another Let's Play of Test Drive Eve of Destruction with Rhino and yourself commentating, but make it a challenge? I don't understand what you mean by this. I think my Test Drive Eve of Destruction Let's Play is still very good. It held up very well, and I don't particularly see a reason why me or him would need to re-LP it unless we just decided one day to do it again. And make it a challenge. I don't know what you mean by that. Like, what does that mean, make it a challenge? What does this question mean? What do you want from me? Help! Next 3 set of questions here are from Talismanus. First question is, would you be willing to play a game from the Wipeout series? Yes, actually. I would like to play some of the Wipeout games. Probably start at the beginning and then kind of work my way down, but I definitely would like to do the Wipeout game at some point in the future. Second question here is, what do you think was the most spectacular game corruption corruption you would ever witness, be it one of your own or someone else's. Prepare your ears for this one. This is the most spectacular corruption I've witnessed, being in it. It's not my own, but I'm in it. Just prepare your ears in 3, 2, 1.
That was an ordeal. Holy fucking shit. Holy shit. Oh, please, somebody clip that. Oh my god, I'm crying. I'm actually in tears. Holy fuck, that was so funny. Holy shit. We were all just like having a stupid conversation, and all of a sudden.
Well, I think.
And lastly, are there any cars made by AMC you are fond of? I love the Javelin. The AMC Javelin is an awesome muscle car. I do have a soft spot for the Gremlin and Pacer as well. Thank you for your questions. From TD07, his questions are, first, have you watched Initial D? No. Second question is, will you play Revolt once? Why once? I'll play Revolt several times if I want to. Yes, I will play Revolt at some point because I do quite like Revolt. It's a very fun game. And the last question is, what is the worst car you've driven in any game in terms of performance and or visuals? If we're talking solely performance, Mercedes CLK 500, and Need for Speed Most Wanted. Yes, the muscle cars in Carbon, I can't stand the way those things handle at all, but CLK 500 for sure would be down there. Visuals? Cadillac CTS in Most Wanted 05, because the old CTS I don't think is a particularly pretty car personally, so I don't have one that's for performance and visuals, because I can't think of one right off the top of my head. At least for performance, CLK 500, visuals, CTS. At least that's what I can come up with when thinking about it. Thank you for your questions. Next 3 set of questions come from that guy named Zach. His first question is, what do you think of Hagwala, aka Arab drifting? It's dumb, it's ridiculous, it's mental. I don't understand why they do it. They look like they have a death wish when they do it. I would never consider doing it myself. I envy those people. I also think they're fucking stupid and insane. Second question is, what do you think of road rallies like the Gumball 3000? The Gumball 3000 is kind of interesting just because you can look at it in a lot of ways like a road trip, really. Just with like a bunch of like really nice cars and everything. It's a really interesting kind of thing, and it's surprisingly popular. Like, a lot of people do it. It's kind of dangerous in some places, to be fair, but if of course you play it carefully, you won't end up doing such a thing. And that's the thing too, like, a lot of people always want to say, oh, it's like a race or something. It's not a race. It's just, think of it as like a huge road trip for a whole bunch of people, and you get to see all these really cool cars. Anyways, last question is, if you had the chance, would you enter a road rally? If so, what car would you choose? I would enter a road rally. I wouldn't mind being part of that Gumball 3000, and if I were to choose a car, I would probably take something like a McLaren, like a 720S, just to have, I would like to have like a modern supercar and just kind of enjoy the long cruise. I would definitely like to be able to do that sort of thing. Anyways, thank you for your question. Next 2 questions here are from The Moving Chicane. His questions are, first, what inspired you to create content when you started your YouTube channel? I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier. Basically, I like doing videos in general. It's just something I kind of enjoy doing, mostly because it's one of the few things in my life that I actually know I'm somewhat good at doing. So I just kind of wanted to spend my time making like videos and stuff, and making like Let's Plays after watching guys like Rhino GT4 and whatnot. And just, I wanted to just kind of show some games that I feel didn't get a lot of attention on YouTube. Like when I made that Demolition Racer No Exit LP, when I did that in 2015, I'm pretty sure from the top of my memories collection that no one LP'd that game when I did it. There were some people who played the original Demolition Racer on the PlayStation and whatnot, but as far as I'm concerned, no one had ever Let's Played the Dreamcast version on the site. So I wanted to be the guy to do that, and it's just one of those things where I really wanted to do that sort of thing, so that's basically what I did. But that's basically the reason. I just wanted to create content because I think I'm good at it, and I just thought I would be something worth doing my time because it's one of the few things in my life I can actually do because I suck at most everything else. Yeah. Anyways, second question is, if you were able to try out one car and track combo IRL, what would they be and why? I don't particularly know of car and track combos. I would just think of cars and tracks. I would just drive like a four-wheel drive car on a track like, fuck it, Nürburgring. Why not? I couldn't really think of much else for some reason. My mind was drawing blanks, but take like a four-wheel drive car on Nürburgring like Skyline or Lancer or Impreza, or even something more modern like a new Honda NSX, something like that. Just something that's easy to kind of get into and kind of thrash about, and because I'm an idiot, try driving it on the most demanding and challenging and long track out there, because I'm a mental case. Thank you for your question. Alright, another 3 set of silly questions, that's this time from The Real Emil. His first question is, what is love and where can I buy it? Love does not exist. Love is a fictional thing. If you think love exists, you're insane to think about it. You cannot buy it anywhere because it don't exist. Second question is, pineapple on pizza, yay or nay? I can at least answer this one more seriously, nay, and that's mostly just because pineapple's kind of really sweet and fruity, and the thing is, I don't particularly think it goes very well on a food thing that's not sweet or anything, because you have like cheese and tomato sauce and stuff, and neither that's sweet, and pineapple to me, it doesn't particularly mesh very well with a pizza, so for me, it's like, no, I don't think it should go on pizza. I mean, people do enjoy having it on pizza though, and if they do enjoy it, then let them enjoy it. I'm not going to be one of those people who is like, no, you shouldn't be putting pineapple pizza. If you like your pizza with pineapple on it, you go right ahead. I'm just going to choose not to because I don't enjoy having pineapple on my pizza, so. Third question is, would you rather have 20 cocaines or 20 cokes? Well, I'm not a drug addict, so I'd rather just have 20 cokes, because when I think cokes, I think Coca-Cola. I wouldn't drink them all in one succession, but I would put 20 cokes in my fridge and drink them over a period of time. So that would be my answer to that. Thank you. 3 questions here from the 13th Racer. His first question is, are you planning to LP at least one of the Hot Wheels games in the future? Yes, I would like to LP quite a few Hot Wheels games, in fact. Some people might remember I did Turbo Racing on the PlayStation. That's the one I've done so far. I would also like to do Extreme Racing, also on the PlayStation, World Race, Velocity X, Stunt Track Challenge, maybe even the old Stunt Track driver games on the PC if I could get them to work. Beat that. But yeah, I'll definitely be doing some more Hot Wheels games in the future for sure. The second question is, what is your favorite concept car from any game? Ooh, this is an interesting question because I've never actually thought about what is my favorite concept car. There's the Dodge concept car, the Copperhead. I do really like that. A lot of the Asphalt games have like all those ridiculous concept cars nowadays, but nothing that really springs to mind, I would personally say. There is the Holden Effigy from Test Drive Unlimited. I like that car. It's really cool, as well as like the Chrysler Firepower and the Ford Shelby GR1 and the Shelby Cobra concept. I'd probably say Test Drive Unlimited then, because that's got a whole bunch of concepts I think are really cool and everything. So that would probably be what I would go with. And his last question is Hawaii? Ibiza. Thank you for the questions. Next question here is from the legendary P45, and his question is, why haven't you played Smash on your channel yet? Simple. I don't particularly have interest in playing Smash on my channel. I don't mind the Smash Brothers games, but they're not really something I feel like I want to play on my channel, and they'd be really out of place too, so I personally don't particularly have interest in playing it for that reason. So, sorry. Another 3 set of questions here from Viper Racing. His first question is, what's your thoughts on the F1 2019 season so far? I have not been following Formula 1 for a good number of years now, mostly because I don't particularly have a lot of interest in it. Mostly just because it's kind of having that same issue that Formula 1 had when it was during the 2000s, where it's basically the same guy, the same team, kicking everyone's ass over and over and over again. Lewis Hamilton basically has the benefit. I don't take anything away from the fact that he's a very talented driver, but it has a lot to do with the fact that Mercedes kind of has all the money in the world to basically make their cars the best thing out there. And for me, it's like, cool, I guess, that he's doing well with them, but it's just the same thing over and over again. It's just like, it doesn't particularly interest me. I mean, that's not really fun. That's kind of boring. It's like, when you see the same thing all the time, it's just like, you know what? I appreciate the level of talent being shown, but it feels like the same old thing, and it doesn't interest me. I'm sorry. I'm just not a Formula 1 fan these days. Second question is, ever considered doing a playthrough of Destruction Derby 2 for the original PlayStation? I have considered doing a playthrough of all of the Destruction Derby games, so Destruction Derby 2 is definitely on the consideration list. When I get around to doing it, not sure yet, but I definitely will be doing it. And last question is thoughts on the W Series. Is this about the women's racing series? It's kind of like a Formula Championship thing, but for women and stuff. I mean, if you want my honest opinion of it, I'm all for seeing more females get into racing, but my problem is the fact that it's still a separate series. Why do we need separation? What is wrong with having women race alongside men in like Formula 3, Formula 1, or any other kind of racing? I mean, we saw it in IndyCar, we saw it for a while with NASCAR. Why does it still need to be separated for Formula racing? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't think they need to be a separate thing. Female racers should be allowed to race alongside men. Like, I'm glad to see that this hopefully will bring more women into the interest of being able to race, but at the same time, I really just think it should be something for everyone. There shouldn't be a reason they need to make a separate series for this kind of thing. It really should just be for everyone. They should be allowed to be promoted to be included in established series. Just give them the chance to do so, because that's the best thing for them. But that's just my take on it. Thank you for your questions. We got a question here from William Andrus. I apologize if I've said your last name wrong. And he says, what is your favorite SUV? I guess if I was to take the easy answer, I would probably say the Jeep Cherokee Trackhawk, because that thing is mental, and I like mental things. So that's probably what I would say, because I can't think of really anything else. Maybe the Lamborghini Urus. That would be a close second. And then maybe one of the Range Rovers in third. That's really all I can think of when it comes to that. Sorry, but thank you for your question anyways. Next three set of questions is from Xbox Gamer 969. These three questions start with, number 1, what made you want to start marathoning the Need for Speed series on Twitch? When do you think you will continue marathoning it? I wanted to marathon the series simply just because I wanted to have something I could really say was something that my channel did. I was kind of really inspired when Kuru HS did it, but he was obviously doing it in a sort of more speedrunish sort of direction, whereas I just wanted to kind of play through them all casually. Mostly just because I played all the different Need for Speed games in my life, and I would just think it would be really cool to do that. When will I get back to it? When I feel the mood to stream the next Need for Speed game. I mean, next would be Shift. But when I have that mood again, I will let you know. His second question is, what was your entire console platform ownership history? Okay, I'm going to have to try and memorize this as much as I can. I think I can do it, but let's see. First console I really remember using when I was a youth was a Super Nintendo. That was the one I got a lot of my earliest gaming childhood memories on. Then I had a PlayStation, because my dad liked the PlayStation more over than the Nintendo 64. So yeah, I ended up having a PlayStation for that reason. That was my first proper console I put a lot of time and love and playing into. Then after that, we got a Sega Dreamcast when they were new as a Christmas gift, a Sega Dreamcast, seriously. Still love the Dreamcast, and that's why you see me play Dreamcast games, because I was one of those lucky kids back then who actually grew up with one. I basically used that thing until this machine stopped working. Then we had an Xbox, and that only lasted about 6 months, because I think what happened was we had it on like a little bit of a shelf, and what I'm guessing must have happened was like the cords, like one of the controllers must have got yanked a bit too hard, or it got pushed a little bit too forward, and basically what ended up happening was that after like 6 months or so, it just quit working. I think the hard drive just basically went bad, and we never really ended up getting it fixed, even though we probably easily could have. So, oh well. Obviously I have an Xbox now, but it's not the same one. Then we eventually got a PlayStation 2, which we had for so many years, and it was the last console I remember having when I was still originally living with my mother. And then when I moved out to go with my father, I at the time just had like a Game Boy Advance at that time. So for the first few months, that's all I had was a Game Boy. And then after that Christmas, I got another Xbox. This one had a chip in it, though. PlayStation 2, by the way, also had a chip in it, and the original PlayStation I had back in the day had a chip in it. So I think my next birthday after that, I think it was 06, I got a Nintendo DS, because what I remember ended up happening was I went to see my mother, who lived further out east by this time, and I took my Game Boy Advance with me to give myself something to play. What ended up happening was when I got off the plane, I had only realized too late that I actually left the Game Boy on the plane. And I've never seen it again. We never got that Game Boy back. I ended up getting a DS anyways as like a birthday gift, and I played the hell out of that because I liked the DS. So then I had the Xbox and the DS. Then in 2007, I got an Xbox 360. And that was awesome. And I used that for a while for the Xbox 360, and it unfortunately would red ring a few times until finally like kind of biting the dust by late 2009. It first died around April. We got it fixed a couple months later. It lasted only about a couple months. Then it died again. We got it fixed by another person who increased the fan speed so it was like really fucking loud. And that time it lasted only about a week. And by this point, it was close enough to Christmas, so we said, screw it, we'll just get something else. But during that time, Christmas 2008, I believe, I ended up getting a PlayStation Portable, and that was cool. Too bad I ended up accidentally breaking part of the UMD tray the next day I got it, because the headphones I were using, it got caught on like a printer or something, so it yanked it, and it hit the ground, and that happened. That was fun. It did work for a little while, but then eventually it would stop reading games. And then I ended up just getting a modded PSP for my birthday, just to kind of a make-up for that anyway, so hooray. Around 2009, during the summer, I went to go visit my mom out west, and then what ended up happening was the PlayStation 2, our old PS2, they weren't using it anymore, and I took it back home with me. So I had the PlayStation 2 back once again after that. That Christmas, after the 360 had bit the dust, I got a PlayStation 3 for Christmas, and I had used that for a while, and then after that, there wasn't really too much else I'd gotten console-wise. I still have that same PlayStation 3, it still works. Then, I think by 2011, I got another Dreamcast, just because I love the Dreamcast. I think it was like a birthday gift from my best buddy from back out east. I miss you, David. I wish you lived out here. I know by 2013, I had gotten a desktop PC for myself. I got another Xbox 360 in 2016 used for like $70 with a whole bunch of games that I sold off, so I could use that money to get other games that I actually wanted. And then 2017, I got a PlayStation 4, so I have that PS4 that still works. And then 2018, I got my grandpa's old Nintendo Wii when he passed. And currently, that's basically what I have now. Is I have the Dreamcast. Actually, I have a Sega Sports one that I got from a convention in 2014. The one from 2011 I don't have anymore. I still have my old PlayStation 3. I still have my PlayStation 2. I've got my Xbox. That's pretty much my collection right now. And that's what I remember off the top of my head. Oh, I should also mention my current PC, this all-new one, 2019. So that's basically my entire collection as of June 2019. Third question, though, is what shows are you currently into at the moment? I don't watch TV. I'm not really into any shows right now, I'm afraid. Thank you, though, for your questions. 2 questions here from Executioner. His first question is, are you considering playing more import titles on the PlayStation 1 or Super Nintendo in the future? Yes, actually, I would like to play more import titles. One I would like to play through on the PS1 would be Racing Lagoon. That's one I've had interest in playing through for a long time. I've seen guys like Angel play through, and it looks like it would be pretty fun. It's another one of those things where it's like, if I can get around to in the mood to play it, I definitely will. So I don't know about ones on the Super Nintendo though right now, so you'd have to ask me again at another point once I'm a little more familiar with that. And the second question here is Jimmy Johnson's Anything with an Engine LP when? Someone needs to give me the game and then I'll play it. Is this like a meme now with this Jimmy Johnson thing, or is this like a game you actually enjoy? I don't know. But all I'm gonna say to that is boom confetti. Thanks for your questions. Next question here, it comes from Zen with a very simple question. Most underrated racing game in your opinion? I have played a lot of racing games that many people have not played. There's a lot that don't get a lot of appreciation. And for me, it's one of those things where it's like, I would definitely like to mention, I guess, from my experience, games that I think are quite underrated. I mean, Grid Autosport, not really a lot of people talk about that one. I think that one was pretty good and underrated. Ferrari F355 Challenge, another very underrated game there. Drive Club, that kind of got the cold treatment from Sony, unfortunately. It's still a really good game. One that amazingly does not get a lot of a talk about is Blur. Not a lot of people talk about Blur. Basically a car combat style racing game that has elements of Mario Kart, but the cars are real and drive more like cars. It's such a cool game. For me, it's really disappointing to see that it never really got the admiration that, in my opinion, I felt it deserved. Because it was a completely new spin on the power-ups oriented racing game, and it had a lot of really unique and interesting things going for it. But even at its absolute peak, it never really got that much attention. And even in like retrospective, sure, it still has a lot of people who like it, but it's still kind of a small fish in the water sort of thing. For me, at least, Blur is one of the first games that really comes to mind, I think, for for underrated games. Another one, Enthusia Professional Racing on the PlayStation 2. That's a really underrated game too. It's a bit weird with how the game works and its progression and everything, but it's a blast to play through, and it's a shame that Konami does not make games like that still. And again, Konami doesn't really make any sort of game like that. Personally, Blur is the top underrated racing game that at least I can think of. I'm sure there's some other people who've got some other answers too. I would not be surprised, but that's just my opinion at least, is on what I think is some of the more underrated ones. Thanks for your question. And finally, last 3 set of questions here comes from 0, 4, 5, 6, 7. Starting with, first, what is your least favorite LP that was done in HGCentral's history? Well, I've done a lot of LPs, and trying to remember how all of them particularly went through in the top of my head is something that I really have to stop and think about. Honestly, the Tokyo Street Racer, both of them are LPs that I think I could have done a better job on. The first one is fine, but the second one, I'm really regretful that I cheated that one through, mostly just because I was too lazy to do some grinding. I mean, to be fair, it is stupidly ridiculous grinding in that game, but I felt like I could have at least done a better job with that one, and I felt like I kind of shat the bed on that. Not very proud of that. And also, I just want to redo them anyways because composite quality sucks. So that's definitely one I'm not very proud of. The original Crash Bandicoot LP, I felt I could have done better because I died a lot, and I didn't want to have a thing where I had to cut out so many deaths because I'm an idiot. Grand Theft Auto 3 is another one I wish that one is hilarious, but I also wish I didn't cheat through it, so that's another one I felt I could have done a better job at for sure. At least that's what I can think of off the top of my head. The second question is, what is a game you want to LP in the future? Pretty much the vast majority of stuff you've been hearing about, like the Hot Wheels games, the Wipeout games, import titles like Racing Lagoon, the Forza games. Just a whole bunch of stuff I want to LP in the future. I can't really pinpoint it down to just one game. There's a lot that I want to LP in the future though. And lastly, the final question is there a Cave Johnson-sized hole in my Cave Johnson-sized heart?
I'm sorry, but it would seem someone or something has redacted all traces of Cave Johnson from my heart. Why does this make me sad?
Thank you for your questions. I am tired now from doing all those questions. Anyways, thank you guys so much for all of the questions. I hope I answered them to the best of your ability. It's been a lot of fun to hear your questions, guys, and it's been nice to do another one of these again. The next Q&A, if I decide to do another one, will not happen for a while, because the thing is, I don't want to be doing these too often, because eventually, if I do so many of these so quickly, everyone's gonna like run out of ideas. So definitely, if I do another one, it probably won't be for another few years' time for sure, but I do genuinely appreciate all the questions you guys have given me, and I hope that I've at least done the best that I could to answer your questions. But yeah, I definitely will hopefully try to get some more stuff out in the future, and I hope to see you guys around in the future. And if there's anything that didn't get asked here you really want to know quickly, you want to ask, just let me know in the comments or message me or any sort of thing like that. So yeah, I will definitely keep the comments open so you guys can do that if you like. If you made it all the way to the end to hear your questions, or you just wanted to hear what everyone's questions were, thank you so much for staying tuned to the very end. If you want to help support the channel in any way, check out my link down below to the Patreon. If you want to join in my Discord, it's down below there as well. If you want to come follow me over on Twitter, it's down below there as well. If you want to see my Twitch, it's down below there as well. I will hopefully be streaming again real soon. It's been a blast to do this Q&A, and I will hopefully see all of you guys once again on the next one.